Carmentary, my friends. Let's do a little board talk. Board talk. This is for the thumbnail, by the way. We're going to talk about snowboards, 3D shaped boards, board length. I had a comment probably a couple weeks ago I hadn't responded to yet, and I recommended someone try the Field Earth X2FA as a really good board for both powder and carving on more hard pack conditions. That person then responded with another question saying, oh, the board's kind of long, it's like a 164, 167 or something like that. I'm used to riding shorter boards around like 156. What do you think about that? And what do you think about just the X2? The X2 is another board that Field Earth makes. And then you have the X2FA. So I kind of wanted to respond to that. And as I was kind of going over it in my brain for about 20 seconds as I left my house here, I thought I'd just sort of talk about snowboard length in general and how that relates to more snow surf shapes, 3D shapes, 2.5D. 2.5D, is that what they're calling it? Field Earth has true like 3D boards, which are very curved like a boat, like the hull of a boat. And then you have 2.5, which is just a little bit. It's just like a little itsy bitsy rise up to the edge. But it makes an incredible difference. I will tell you that. So, first of all, board length is not all it's cracked up to be. I would like to say that. I think people have a real stigma about board length and how long their board should be. The board should come up to between your chin and your nose. If it goes over that, it's terrible. People always come up with these stupid rules and measurements and whatever. Yeah. Basically, it all is the fault of all the major snowboard brands in the 90s when they kind of swung in their very freestyle direction. I can't explain every detail, but basically they really screwed it up for everybody for a long time. Snowboards back in the early days were very surf styled, wider, some were shorter, some were longer. You had all these, it was very surf based. And boy, if they'd spent the next 10 years, the 80s and into the early 90s kind of going in that direction and progressing the technology, we really would have had some amazing products, I think. But it all kind of swung in a freestyle direction, and that created a very certain type of board. It was shorter, it had more of a side cut, and these boards, I think everyone can agree now, if you take that board design and you make it just longer but keep that general sort of design, the swing weight becomes a real issue. It's hard to turn a board like that. It locks into turns. It's got that real kind of strong side cut, and you do need it to be a little shorter. But then that creates problems when you want to do more free riding and you want to ride deeper snow. You have to really lean back on the board. All your weight's in your back foot, and there's so many issues that are caused by that design. So what I'm trying to say is that when you take some of these more recent, Genton, Field Earth, Moss, etc., and now brands globally are all really working in this direction to create, really boards that are just, they flow, they're easy to ride, you can ride them more centered, even in deep snow, they're going to give you float. There's so many different designs and shapes out there now, it's hard to really speak to all of them, but I think the fact is that, everyone's open to experiment and try to find the best design, and then you have to find what works for you within that. But I think it's important to really kind of throw the whole length of a snowboard out the window. It's really not a thing anymore, and it's especially not a thing when you're talking about a board like the X2FA by Fielder. So I can focus in on that one because it'll give us a little structure to the conversation, but this is way down in the deep weeds of 3D and Fielder of board design. But the X2 was the first board they made. Then he made the FA. So the X2 is shorter and it has a totally different construction. It has a normal sidewall. If you look at the side of the board, it's pretty much what you would expect and what you see, kind of a slanted little, you know, the same thickness as the center of the board there. With the FA, that board has a very different sidewall. It gets very thin. So from the center of the board, you're going towards the edge, and then about 2 or 3 centimeters from the edge, it starts to really slope off. It's got like a little cant, and it comes down to almost just the thickness of the metal edge, slightly more, like a couple of millimeters there. But it's a very thin sidewall. If you look at it from the side, it's quite elegant, it's quite sleek. It looks really cool. And that goes the effective edge, the length of the effective edge from just, you know, right around where your front foot is to where your back foot is. And then it kind of goes back to a normal sort of sidewall shape. It kind of transitions there. So, what is this? Well, the owner of the brand kind of explained it to me. Basically, he said he really combined an incredible carving board. So groomers, hard pack, maybe even some real icy kind of conditions. That thin sidewall is going to give you incredible leverage on your turns, and it's going to give you more grip. Now, combining that with this 3D shaped nose, you got this kind of big, sort of hammerhead kind of nose on this board, the X2FA. It's a very cool looking board. But when you look at that nose, you go, oh, powder board. Oh, it's it's meant for deep powder. That's it. Maybe that's not the right size for me. I can see how, you know, people would come to that conclusion very easily. It also is a swallowtail, and I think I talked about it before, but it's got a very the tail, the swallowtails actually curve up a little bit. A lot of swallowtail boards, they just run off kind of flat. They're kind of stiff. These are they have a flex to them. He's designed a real flex into the tail. Basically, I'll try and describe it in you know, without being so technical. I would say it's like having a really good skateboard underneath your feet, and then it has the nose and the tail of like a surfboard attached to it. Does that make sense? Maybe we shouldn't just say just normal skateboard. Maybe we could say like a carver. You know, those skateboards where you can carve and pump and the front truck is loose. It's kind of like having a carver underneath your feet. So you can do these incredible deep carving turns. And if you use the tail, if you go back, put your weight on that tail will flex and let you go even deeper into the carve. Very interesting sensation. But you have a very, very strong edge underfoot. I did one run on the board. I really felt that. It was very hard pack conditions on the day I rode it, so it was perfect for that. And I really got kind of amped on it. I'm more used to like you say, when you see a board that size, like the upper end of the 160s, around 170 centimeters with a swallowtail, you just kind of like, okay, this is probably not going to be a great experience on the groomers. You kind of just sort of have that in your mind, I think, when you see a board like that, just from general experience. It's like, okay, this board's going to want to be in the powder. I don't know if I want to ride it today, but it kind of blew my mind there. So I think it's definitely worth a try, even if it's out of your normal size range. If you normally ride, 155, 156, when trying some of these snow surf style boards, I would really say forget about the rules you have in your mind. That's all propaganda from the majors, the major players in the industry. They're trying to tell you how big your board should be, and I just want to go back and just kind of shit on old snowboard brands for a little bit. When you look back in hindsight, and you realize that they just kept pumping out that same thing year after year, same thing, same mold, same board, just trying to cut corners, find the cheapest way to produce it, and put new graphics on it, and then tell you that you should get a new one because this one looks cooler than the one last year. Or so-and-so is riding this one, so it must be the coolest, and he won this contest, It's just kind of sad. It is really sad. And you have these small garage brands now who have worked so hard to, scrape together the money. It takes an incredible amount of money to make snowboards. A lot. And is really hard to keep a small snowboard brand. It's hard to keep any snowboard brand running these days, I will say that. And it continues. The other day I did a little video shoot for our local resort. I had my daughters come and help me, and we filmed using the rental boards at the resort. I'll name call them. I'll say it. It was Rossi boards. Rossignol rental boards. Generic crap. It's such a shame. It's like, these are rental boards. Like, wouldn't it make sense to have the rental boards be like the easiest board to ride possible? We're talking about entry-level people who've never snowboarded before. They're going to get a snowboard lesson. This might be their first ever experience, and you're strapping them in to this thing that's incredibly hard to ride. It sucks. It's that old school 1996 snowboard design with maybe, I don't know, I don't even know if it's improved at all. Maybe a little bit. They've got nice little plastic guards on the nose and the tail so you don't, cut your fingers, or when you let go of the board and it flies down the hill and hits some little kid, it doesn't cut their head open, Nice. That's nice. But that doesn't make the board any easier to ride. It seems to me, it just seems so, what's the word? I don't know the word. It just, there's no logic to that. It's like they're trying to make the experience bad. Maybe it's like a secret mission from the ski industry to demoralize and degrade snowboarding. They're like, yeah, make sure all the rental boards are really hard to ride. And then everyone will try it and they'll hate it. And they'll go back to skiing. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But I just can't believe that in, 2024, you go to these resorts and you have these boards that are just like, no, I would never put a friend or someone I knew on that board to ride and go, this is snowboarding. Hey, this is snowboarding. Have fun. Yeah, right. This sucks. Anyway, that's my little rant of the day. I thought I'd throw that in there for you for a little humor. Oop, ambulance coming. We gotta pull over here. Hoi, hoi. All right there. Definitely in a hurry. Okay, that's it, folks. I hope that helps. Don't worry about the length of your snowboard when you're considering snow surf designs, especially in the boards with 2D and 3D, 2.5D and 3D shape and design. Very important. Okay, I'll cut it off there. I think that's enough to hold you over for a bit. Drive safe, everybody.